Hey everyone, welcome back. Now, we've all heard of El Niño, the weather phenomenon that gets a lot of attention. But what about La Niña? It's a different beast altogether, and right now, scientists are keeping a close eye on it. In fact, the La Niña watch for 2025 has already begun, and some experts are asking, are we spinning toward a global catastrophe? In today's video, we're diving into La Niña, what it means for the planet, and whether it could lead to some serious global impacts. Let's break it down and get started. First, let's quickly cover what La Niña actually is. La Niña is the opposite of El Niño. While El Niño involves warmer than normal ocean temperatures in the Pacific, La Niña is characterized by cooler than usual sea surface temperatures in the central and eastern Pacific. This cooling pattern can have major ripple effects on weather around the world, triggering shifts in global weather systems. It's like the atmosphere's way of hitting the reset button, but sometimes it comes with more than just cooler water. It can stir up storms, droughts, and even affect ecosystems and agriculture on a massive scale. Now, why is 2025 being talked about specifically? Well, scientists have been noticing patterns in ocean temperatures and atmospheric pressure that suggest we might be heading into another La Niña phase. The last significant La Niña event lasted from 2020 to 2022, and it brought extreme weather to various parts of the world, including flooding, droughts, and colder winters. But what could happen in 2025? That's what we're here to explore. Let's start with the effects of La Niña on weather. While each La Niña event is unique, there are some general patterns we can expect. For one, La Niña often leads to drier than usual conditions in places like the southern United States, while parts of the northern US and Canada might experience colder than normal winters. Down in South America, countries like Argentina, Brazil, and Chile often deal with heavy rainfall and flooding. On the other side of the world, Southeast Asia and Australia could see drought conditions, and in some cases, wildfires can become more frequent. These weather shifts, though they may sound like something we can handle, have far-reaching consequences. For example, droughts in critical areas like the Horn of Africa or Southern Asia can lead to food shortages, water scarcity, and increased tensions over resources. Flooding in places like South America can devastate agriculture, infrastructure, and homes. And the increased frequency of wildfires in places like Australia or California can have not only local impacts, but contribute to larger climate shifts by releasing carbon into the atmosphere. So, while a La Niña year might seem like just another year of strange weather, it could set off a chain reaction that affects millions of people. But the real question is, could La Niña cause a global catastrophe? Well, the answer isn't straightforward. It depends on a lot of factors. First, let's talk about the science behind it. La Niña is not an isolated event. It's part of a much larger climate system that includes the warming of the oceans, melting ice caps, and rising global temperatures. So, when La Niña occurs in an already unstable climate, it can intensify some of the most severe impacts of global warming. For example, the cooler temperatures of the Pacific can disrupt normal weather patterns, leading to more frequent and severe storms like hurricanes, typhoons, and cyclones. We've already seen these storms becoming stronger and more destructive in recent years, with storms forming more rapidly and hitting areas that used to be relatively safe. La Niña can fuel these storms, making them even worse. And if the event lasts longer than expected, it could exacerbate the effects of a warmer planet, leading to even more extreme weather across the globe. Then there's the issue of food security. Both droughts and flooding caused by La Niña can wreak havoc on agriculture. In 2025, if the weather patterns follow previous trends, we could see major crop failures in some of the world's most critical agricultural regions. This could lead to food shortages, increased prices, and, ultimately, political instability. Countries that rely on agricultural exports might face economic crashes, while those that rely on imports could see severe disruptions in their food supply chains. On the environmental side, La Niña events can also impact ecosystems. The cooler ocean temperatures in the Pacific affect marine life by disrupting the availability of nutrients in the water, which can lead to massive die-offs of fish and other sea creatures. This affects local fisheries and the communities that depend on them. Moreover, if La Niña leads to more frequent and intense wildfires, the destruction of forests and habitats can cause long-term damage to biodiversity. We might also see coral bleaching events as the cooler water disrupts the delicate balance of marine ecosystems. So, let's talk about the catastrophic part. When you combine La Niña with with the growing impacts of climate change, it's easy to see why some experts are concerned. More intense and more frequent extreme weather events, combined with other environmental stressors, could push our ecosystems, economies, and societies to the brink. The problem is that while we know La Niña events are part of the natural climate cycle, we don't always know exactly when or how severe they will be. And with the unpredictability of climate change, these events are becoming harder to prepare for. But it's not all doom and gloom. There's hope, and it comes from what we can do to mitigate the impacts. For one, we've made huge strides in understanding these weather patterns. With advanced satellite technology and climate models, scientists can now predict La Niña events with more accuracy, giving governments and organizations the ability to prepare and respond more effectively. But preparation isn't just about watching the weather. It's also about reducing our carbon emissions and tackling the root causes of climate change. The global community has been slowly but steadily shifting toward renewable energy, reforestation, and sustainable practices. The more we can reduce our reliance on fossil fuels and protect natural ecosystems, the less we'll feel the impacts of events like La Niña. And in the case of agriculture, there are new techniques in water conservation, crop management, and disaster response that can help communities bounce back faster. Innovations in flood management and drought-resistant crops are also helping mitigate the worst effects. But the reality is that climate change doesn't give us a lot of time. We need to start preparing now, not just for La Niña, but for all of the climate-related challenges that are heading our way. Stronger global cooperation, investments in green technologies, and sustainable practices across industries will be critical in managing the impacts of extreme weather events. The more resilient we make our infrastructure, the better we'll be able to cope with these events. In short, while La Niña does pose a serious risk to global weather patterns, it's just one piece of the larger puzzle of climate change. If we continue to work together to adapt, mitigate, and prepare for these events, we can reduce the potential for catastrophe. The key is to take action now, before the effects of these climate events become even more severe. So, are we spinning towards a global catastrophe with the La Niña watch for 2025? Well, it's tough to say for sure, because predicting the exact impact of these weather patterns is like trying to forecast the future. But what we do know is that La Niña, while significant, is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. It's part of the broader climate crisis, which includes rising global temperatures, shifting weather patterns, and extreme events happening more frequently. La Niña events can certainly contribute to more severe weather, such as intense storms, floods, and droughts. But it's the combination of these factors, not just La Niña, that we need to focus on. The key to managing these challenges lies in preparation. By understanding the science, improving infrastructure, and reducing our carbon footprint, we can make our societies more resilient. The better we prepare, the more we can mitigate the worst-case scenarios and protect the planet for future generations. Thanks for watching. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more updates on climate science and global events. Stay informed and keep thinking about the planet.